Greetings and salutations, one and all. This is Robert Phoenix coming to you live from the Hill Country here in Texas. And I'm hoping that everybody is having a tremendous start to your day. And wherever you are in the world, that your time, at whatever time of day it is meaningful for you, and that you're getting something out of your incarnation, whatever that is, even if it's the mindless joy of doing absolutely nothing. We got a wide spectrum here. All right, let me do a quick roll call, and then we have a lot of business to take care of this morning. There's my man, DJ MC. What's going on, Michael? Oh, Jesus. All right. Julie's back in the hospital. There we go. Bad fall on Tuesday morning, broke my femur, ended up getting full hip replacement. I'm doing well. Oh, boy. All right, Julie. Enough, okay? So this is it. This is it. You have reached the end of the line in terms of disaster. From this point forward, you're going to get up out of that hospital with your new hip replacement, and you're going to walk right in to a much brighter future. All right? We affirm and decree that. It's enough. It's enough. Yes, rollerblader is better than a roller bladder. Roller bladder, not so good. Liddy Lou, what's happening to you? Mary Lee, there she is. Mary Lee has a 160 IQ. Shaved a few points off of it, but she's probably about 140 now. Still very impressive. Penn Greedy, what's happening, Penn? Nora Rashid, the queen of speed. She's in the house. Soul Traveler, Rich J, counting down to my liver flush on the new moon. You go get him, Rich. You go get him. Let's see. Warlanda, I raise my cup to you. Good sip. It is painful, but better today than yesterday. Bodies feel so amazing until they don't, right? This is the thing. You really don't. There's something we're going to have to address here in about 3 minutes or so. Give it 5. Misbehaving 2 is here. There's my man, TJ. Or should I say TJ? TJ on his way to Texas. Everybody wish Tom a speedy and safe journey across the country to his new destiny awaits him. I can't wait to see you, Tom. My Rose in the house. Greetings. Melissa Stanton is here. What's happening, Melissa? Road Trip 1981. Christina Jerzik. Morning back at you. Jackie Delario. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. South Jersey going off today. Spring is the thing. We're still in spring. We're almost in summer, but not quite. Cassie Murphy, what's happening? There she is, the lovely and talented one, Dr. Joan S. Rich is following Andreas Moritz's book on the topic, using stuff from Global Healing Center this time. I may have to do one of those one of these days. Brandy Herrera checking in at 75 with 74% humidity in Bandera. Let's see. Esperanza. Que pasa? There's my man, Scott Jerzik. What's going on, Captain? Good to see you, Soul Traveler. What else? There's Vince Duger. Coming at you from the Golden Gate. Robin Dan. Gosh, it was God Dan. God Dan, it's Robin Dan. Robin is cool. Robin is old school. Robin's an old school artist, right? Like when you think of artist, Robin Dan, right there. When I say old school, I don't mean old. I just mean old school. Somebody who's creative. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Queen Lisa. Checking in from Florida today. Morning, Queen Lisa. Magic Cat with a K. Let's see. Harriet Bowie. Hey. Joe Wong is here, checking in from sunny Mexico. Right on, Jill. Good to see you. There's my man Thor at the door, Mr. Steve, and it is Thor's Day. God of Thunder. Kiss has a song called God of Thunder. It's atrocious. Not that you're atrocious, Steve, but the song is atrocious. Janine is here. What's happening, Janine? Laura E. from cool, cloudy, quiet Vermont. Sounds delightful, especially here in Texas. Tessa D, 70. Tessa Dick. Oh, we got a Tessa Dick. Tessa, we got to get you back on the show. We have got to get you back on the show. We got to get her back on. How you doing, Tessa? I hope you're Tessa. Tessa's amazing, man. He is amazing. I want her enduro jeans. Let's see, who else do we have here? Sandra Jack Shaw, SJS. You know, Sandra Jack Shaw is a motorcycle mama. She is. She's a motorcycle mama. Kabuki Theater. What's up, Bo? Good to see you. Platinum Happiness 2024. Great start to the day from southeastern Idaho. Can't wait to hear more about it. It's going to be good, man. We got my man Mario from Symbolic Studies. We got to get Mario back on the show. Mario's amazing. He's totally amazing. He's going to be with us. I got a few more surprises in store. Let's see. Barbara Boots. She's packing it up. Barbara's going to Europe. She's going on a secret mission. I can't talk about it. Let's see. My friend ruptured appendix coming around. Wow, that's a rough one. Hanging laundry. Morning from Wisconsin. Lawn mowing day. Is that a rider mower or a push mower? Magical Caticorn from the DFW. Look at who's here. We got a Kenneth Dungan sighting. Hey, Kenneth. Kenneth was on our show on the Friday Farcast probably about a year ago, talking about some very interesting metaphysical stuff. And people loved what Kenneth had to say. He's our cosmic cowboy. Let's see. Jay's here. Who else do we have? Roxy Muse made the live here in Texas for some work. Go get some good food in Texas. Texas has Houston. There's some good food in Houston. They have really good food. Houston's one of my favorite food towns. Maria DeAnge, what's happening, Maria? Good to see you. Green-eyed Crow is here. Mary Grether. Greetings, Mary. Patricia just being me. Happy Thursday back to you. Seriously, Tessa, we got to get you back on the show. We got to do a check-in. It's been too long. Nicole DePaulo. Greetings back. Let's see. Who else do we have? A little integrity and karma in the morning. Meow meow. Meow meow. No, Russ will not be on the show tomorrow. He will be on the show the following Friday. Tomorrow, we're going to have my friend Dr. Sherlyn T. Jones. And Sherlyn's I've known Sherlyn since, I guess, 2020, although it feels longer. And Sherlyn does a lot of work with veterans and helping place veterans in situations where there are so many sort of veterans groups and I guess I could use the word community, but they're so basically what's happened is that the Veterans Administration has failed pretty much, right? And so a lot of these vets who have experienced the startling limitations of the VA have started their own uh, nonprofits where they're helping other vets, right? So it's a really interesting response to a government system that is very inefficient and seems to place their priorities way down the line. So Sherlyn's involved in that work, and she was stationed in Afghanistan during the war. So she's a clinical therapist and a Jungian. So we talk about the archetype of the warrior and a lot of her work and what it's like generationally for people and families that are military families. It's a really good interview, and we did it on Tuesday where she was in Hawaii for Memorial Day, and she goes there every year because she works with the veterans group over there in Hawaii, where they set up things like permaculture. And, the whole idea is to find ways for vets to plug back into the community in ways that are meaningful for them. It's a really good interview, and Sherlyn is really articulate. You guys will dig it. It's actually it's a positive military story, positive military interview. So um, that's what's happening on Friday. You like my specs? They're brand new. Costco specials. Lorianne checked it in from Minnesota. Kelly B's here. Rainbows and butterflies. Rainbows and butterflies. All right. I think we're all caught up here. Okay. We're all caught up. All right. I got a phone call. Actually, how do I say this? I got a text yesterday alerting me to something that has happened to somebody that is kind of part of this world. I would say that they are Chatarians, and I got a message yesterday that shockingly, person Jim. I'll set the story. When I moved to Texas and started doing this, one of the first people that I connected with through this world was Lori and Jim. And I remember driving out to Lori. So I drove out to Lori's place one time out near Comfort, and they have like a little homestead out there, and a lot of animal rescue stuff. They're big animal people. And then I met Jim. I was living at that time. I was living in Austin, and Jim and I met up, and we had dinner, and probably had a drink or two over at Jack Allen's. And so they were some of the first people I met here in Texas through the show. And subsequently, over the years, like when I would have an event at my place in Stonewall, uh, uh, Jim and Lori's sister Julie would show up because they're local, right? So I got to know Jim and Lori. Lori and I text back and forth fairly frequently, and I got a text yesterday that Jim is in the hospital and he basically is on life support. And I was fucking just shocked, just absolutely shocked. And he's had some health issues, Um, but it was like a he was grilling on Monday, and now he's intubated, and I was stunned when I heard this, and I talked with Lori last night, and she's just absolutely crushed, and there's very little chance that Jim is going to leave that hospital, and anyway, I just, again, I'm not very good at the prayer thing. I wish I was a better prayer person. I think some people are very good at, kind of having a living prayer, or, but I just want to say, a prayer for Lori and for Jim right now, so that Jim can peacefully transition, if he, if this is the will of Jim's higher self, that he transition from this world. I hope it is a peaceful transition, and that he is conscious and aware, and that everything that he needs to do happens swiftly and with loving awareness. And for Lori, I just pray for Lori, and that in her time of real deep grief, that her life partner is suddenly leaving this world, that she can find solace in the fact that they'll always be together in her heart and in her mind. So, just say a little prayer for Lori and Jim. Um, it's just tough, man. It's tough. You know, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here. Jim is in the same hospital that my mother was in, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit more over on 15 minutes. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but after comparing notes with Lori, I'm convinced now there's something up with our hospitals. And because he's basically dying from the same conditions my mother was dying from. Why is that? Why is that? You know, I have some ideas about it. Anyway, just, I know you guys are good at that. And just say a little prayer for Lori and Jim, and, Godspeed. All right. Um, it's sad. I'm sorry. It's very sad. All right. Let's get into the weather. That should help a little bit here. All right. Do we have the right day? I have San Angelo, Texas. Okay, before I do this, I got to tell you a story. Okay, this will help me transition a little bit here. Because San Angelo is where I bought my truck, and I took my truck out yesterday. And so I drove it to the gas station to get some gas. I pull in, and this guy pops out of his car, and he says, "Hey, man, that's a badass truck." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." And then this guy pulls behind me to the pump behind me, and he's in a truck, and he looks at me, and he kind of like, does a thumbs up and says, "Go ahead, walk." So like he was acknowledging me too, right? So now all of a sudden I've got fucking status. I have status with this truck. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. Nobody ever did that when I had a Lexus. So the creaky old truck has given me my passport to the hill country, I suppose. All right, let's get into it. Here we go. This is what we've been talking about. The moon in Pisces is upon us. So funny. It's like, here I am. I'm emotional, right? It's like this is the moon in Pisces. All of that kind of detached emotional energy in Aquarius, it's dissipated, right? We're in an emotional phase here, and particularly because of the square with the Sun Venus and Sun Venus conjunction Cazimi, as they say in the astrological world, where the two of them are blotted out. Uh, but I don't really believe that per se. I have my own particular interpretation of it, whether it's right or wrong. The power of the two is augmented, and they become one, right? They become one. So this idea of the sun and Venus together um, is really a very powerful aspect, and it allows us to communicate very rapidly, very quickly, share lots of information. And there's also with Venus, just as a planet in general, there's a sense of abundance with Venus, and that we get everything we need with Venus. And then there's Jupiter right behind it, which is sort of doubling down on the getting everything you need. And it's going to play into a song that I'm going to play over on 15 minutes today. It'll have that kind of theme to it, right? So I think this is a day where be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for what you have, Julie. Be thankful that, and I know you are. I'm not. This is not a lecture. Be thankful that you have a hip, and that you go through your physical therapy, and you'll be on your feet, and you'll be back on your land, and you'll have all your critters with you. Right. This is whatever you have in your life. Be thankful for it. And with that square to the moon, that is. I'll look at it from a positive place, right? It breaks down. It's kind of like when you put salt on a piece of meat like a steak, right? The whole idea with that is that if you do it and you let it rest for 4 or 5 hours or so, right? Which you can do. It's not a problem if you put salt on a steak and you leave it out at room temperature because you have salt on it. The steak is not going to get bad. And so what that salt does is it breaks some of the tendons down, right? And so when you go to grill it, however you prepare it, right, it's going to be softer, right? It's going to be softer. And this is what I think this moon square Jupiter Venus is all about. Like it's the salt on the steak that breaks the tendons down, so that if you need to access things emotionally, like we're going to have a lot of that. We're going to have a lot of that, right? This is kind of in the air right now. So you may as well channel that into areas where you can kind of have a breakthrough. I don't necessarily think, at least at this level, that this square is bad, because we're so mental with Gemini, right? We're just so mental with Gemini. And here comes this Pisces moon, and it says, well, here, hold on a second. You're not just a mind, right? You have emotions, you have feelings, and get out of your head a little bit and allow for whatever you need to feel to come through. Emotions are purifying. The right emotions are purifying. They will cleanse you. And again, I'll bring this up to another level. I'll bring it up to another level beyond the personal. If we could get out of our ideological buckets and really look at the world and what's happening in places like Gaza, and they're done with Gaza now. They've moved on. They're into southern Israel at the border, or the ongoing slaughter and conflict in Ukraine, where it's become a meat grinder. The absolute and utter manipulation of these global bodies who are injecting populations of people into places that they really shouldn't be, at least at the number that they're being injected into. Instead of saying, hey, we're gonna help you make your place better. That's not happening. It's like, here, there's a better place for you. We're going to bring you here. And then you see the impact of those things. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And if you really looked at, if you took time out of if everybody took time out of their day and was able to just look at that and feel that, we'd all be on our knees. We'd all be on our knees. And this whole, and what happened with COVID and what's happening still with COVID and how we're losing people. And you could say, well, they're a dumbass. They shouldn't have got it. You know what? There's a little bit of truth to that. But at the same time, like some people just aren't wired to stand in the face of the wind. They're just not wired that way. And maybe it's some kind of natural selection. I don't know. Right. But there are people that are connected to that person that may not have felt the same way or done the same thing, and then that person is gone. And not only that, but what happened to our society through COVID is a nightmare. And we had to endure the nightmare. And the trauma of that still exists. It's still lingering. And I could just keep adding on to the list. And if we really sized it up, if we really looked at it, and we took time out and got away from the ideology and the buckets that we're in, we would all be on our knees because the world has fallen. It has fallen in the way that we once understood it. And we could have an emotional experience and we could cleanse this everything that's a residue, the grief, the anger, the frustration, the anxiety, all the things that have built up, right? And we get down into it and we could cleanse all those things emotionally. And we come out the other side and we look at each other and say, you know what? I love you. I love you. I love you. We love each other. How did we let this happen? We can't continue to do this. We have to start building bonds with each other. And I'm not sure to me that's the only way that this is going to change. Some people talk about having a near death experience with the culture. I've talked about it before. It's kind of what we're kind of what we're talking about here. This is like the life review for the entire planet. Then and only then will we be able to treat each other better. And everybody look, I'm not perfect. I've got my petty complaints and my petty beefs and all, I strive to be a better person. Sometimes I fall short. But this Pisces moon squaring up against Jupiter, Sun, Venus right now, very powerful. And if you really take time out and give thanks for what you have in your life, you'll understand that you're blessed and you could go about your day perhaps a little bit differently. On a collective level, we're entering into some heavy territory here. I talked about the weather, water, torrential downpours. That's all. I think this weekend is going to be uh, very powerful in that regard. And emotions are going to be running high, right? So be aware of that too, right? Because some of the emotions that are running high may not be your emotions, but you can get swept up in the tide. Just keep your eye on the Trump thing. Because that to me is the trigger. Whatever happens, whatever goes down in New York, that's going to be the trigger. Either way, if he walks, he doesn't walk, this Pisces moon is gonna ramp that thing up. And so you'll have raging injustice from both sides. Raging injustice from both sides. And then there's, the energy here is martyr like. This is martyr energy coming in fast. So we have atmospheric conditions, I believe, over the week starting today. I think we're gonna get some rain here. We have atmospheric conditions and I think a lot of water on the way and pent up water, pent up emotion. And we're coming into, it's interesting how water and martyr kind of go together. They're different things, but they're both very Piscean, like theoretically Jesus was a martyr. He died for, other people's future sins, right? He was the scapegoat. He was the martyr. And when we talk about Pisces, we talk about a water sign, a sacrificial sign. Mars is caught up to Chiron. That's another tricky conjunction here. And then right now they're both squaring off against Pluto, which is heavy, right? And we have Pride Week. What are we, 2 days away from Pride or something like that? Would not be surprised if there's violence on the streets during Pride Month. Is it in Pride Month? Do we need an entire month for this? There's some good things here too. I don't want to just dump on the astrology. Uranus, Jupiter, Sun, Venus, trining Pluto, strong aspects, really strong aspects. And it allows we to be versatile, to be mobile, to be agile, and that you could make rapid shifts in your consciousness right now. And those shifts can become permanent, right? Like you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back. And all you have to do is make a commitment to a new understanding or new level of awareness. And it's not indistinct from the square to the moon. That could trigger it all. I still think there's some good investment opportunities out there right now if you're paying attention. Mercury Uranus conjunction. We got Uranus conjuncting Algol. Mercury's coming up there as well. I think a lot of algal type events are going to be in the news. It's funny. Today is the birthday of PJ Carlissimo. And PJ Carlissimo was a very successful coach in college. He coached for a while in the NBA. He coached the Golden State Warriors. He coached the Portland Trail Blazers. And back on December 1st, I think it was 1991, he was coaching the Warriors, and Latrell Sprewell choked him during practice. So player choke. This is unheard of at the time. He chokes PJ Carlissimo. And PJ has Mars at 22 Taurus, just 4 degrees off of Algol. And it's like, there you go. You want to see Algol in action? I posted it on Twitter. I've never seen the effects of Latrell Sprewell's choking of PJ Carlissimo. It's heavy. It's fucking heavy. Latrell Sprewell got suspended for like a long time. A long time. Latrell Sprewell, kind of a piece of shit, actually. He's a good player. But later on, he would have a pit bulls. And one of his pit bulls attacked his daughter. Isn't that interesting? And bit his daughter's face. Isn't that interesting? It's a very interesting connection. Latrell Sprewell chose not to put the pit bull down. And then, Latrell went through a bunch of bad money decisions. He made a shit ton of money, was in the NBA, and he's not doing too well now, according to what I've read. So it's bad. He was a hell of a player. He's a Virgo. He worked hard, but he shouldn't have put his hands on PJ's throat. But again, what are you going to do? PJ, you got Mars conjunct Algol at some point in time, and shit was going to happen. Anyway, let's get into our star of the day. Get the banner up. You guys know the drill. I get to talk about my buddy Chris and the best hemp products on the internet. And that's True Hemp Science. If you go to truehempscience.com, you can peruse all of their fine CBD products. And he's got topicals, he's got all kinds of good stuff. And if you spend $100 or more and type in 15MINS, you will get a little goodie bag that will have enough, more than enough nuggets of joy in that goodie bag that you'll be happy you made the order. $150 more, get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's truehempscience.com. Type in 15MINS, and you will get that goodie bag, $100 more. You can always also reach out to Chris on the website, and he'll help you out. He'll steer you right. All right, let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. To me, this was fascinating. This is really fascinating. Our True Hemp Science star of the day is Keir Dullea. So, who is Keir Dullea? Keir Dullea was an actor. He's still around, by the way. He was born on the 30th of May, 1936, in Cleveland, Ohio. And he's probably best remembered for playing Dave Bowman in 2001: A Space Odyssey. And he did other movies, and he had other TV appearances. But this is really the role that he's known for. And it's funny, some people have never seen 2001, but it's a great movie. So what's interesting about this chart? What's interesting about this chart is Jupiter. He has Jupiter in Sagittarius, and it's at 20 degrees. Let me zoom in and make this a little bigger because I know you guys like the bigger charts or the bigger stuff. So they're right there. So there's Jupiter, 20 degrees. It's in the 9th house, which is travel, distance, right? Higher consciousness. So Jupiter is in dignity. It's in its own sign, and it's in its own house. So Jupiter is also the highest planet. It's apex in his chart. So it plays a huge role in his chart. Now he's got this Grand Cross, which I think is a big challenge for Keir, particularly since after 2001, it's not a movie that is a star-making turn, but it's one of the most memorable roles in cinema. So if you understand the plot of 2001, he's got a battle with Hal, and I actually have I'll bring this up maybe a little bit, depends on how much time I have left. But he winds up going to where? He goes to Jupiter. That's where he winds up. Originally, he was supposed to go to Saturn. I think it's Saturn in the book, but he winds up going to Jupiter. So now you have an actor who has Jupiter in Sagittarius, long distance travel, 9th house. And I'm like, holy shit. We're seeing 2001: A Space Odyssey in the guy's chart. I'm going to go one better here. I'm going to go one better on this. I have, it's over on Twitter, but I'm going to show you what else has got going on in this chart, in this particular chart with this particular instance in this movie. It's going to blow your mind. And he has Saturn in the 12th house in Pisces. So he's going through his second Saturn return. And in the chart, Saturn in the 12th house is very alienating in some ways, or isolating. And people who have Saturn in the 12th house never feel, no matter what their situation is, they can have a loving and supportive family. They can have a network of friends. When you got Saturn in the 12th house, you never truly feel like you're in this world. You always have this sense that there's something missing, that there's a piece of you that is not online, right? It's because Saturn gets our attention. Where Saturn is, that's where the work is done. And he's got it in the 12th house, which is the house of the soul. So if you have Saturn in the 12th house, part of your raison d'etre or reason for being is to understand areas of your life that have nothing to do with this world, especially if it's in Pisces. So the idea here is that every now and then you've got to check out. You've got to go. You've got to take time out. You have to retreat. You have to go meditate. You got to do something where you're away from the world. And it's just you and your sense of isolation or loneliness or emptiness and the void. And you need to contact that and have a meaningful dialogue and a relationship with that. When you're filled up, you go back into the world. That is the absolute best aspect or possibility for Saturn. And it's very interesting that in the movie, when he's on Jupiter, it's a very Saturn 12th house kind of experience. He's there, he's alone, he's isolated, he winds up aging incredibly fast vis-a-vis Saturn, and there's an outcome to the process, which I'll get into, right? And he's got this big T square going on. He has Neptune opposing Saturn, squaring Jupiter, right? I think Keir was the perfect person to be cast in this role because he's kind of otherworldly. And yeah, he's got all this Gemini in his chart. He's really smart. He's still around. He's got a sharp mind. He has all those things that we would attribute to Gemini. But this is a guy that's in conflict. Like he's in conflict. The square to Neptune is like, I bet when he came out of 2001, he thought, hey, I hit the big time here. And it didn't happen. And that Neptune square was probably brutal. Probably just completely wrecked his self-confidence. And the square with Saturn is like, well, you got to keep going, Keir. You got to keep going. You can't give up. You can't give up. And then Jupiter appears like, man, if I could just reach that height, right? That height of aspiration. If I can just get back there, I can square the circle. And what's interesting is that his character in 2001 is named Dave Bowman. And what is Sagittarius? It's the archer. It's the archer. Where does he go? Jupiter. Where does he have Jupiter? Sagittarius. What house? The 9th house. You know, what rules the 9th house? Sagittarius. Like this guy, this movie was more than a movie for Keir Dullea. It was more than a movie. It was his chart. And then even when he's out there in the void of space, right? He's alone. It's him and Hal. After Gary Lockwood, the guy who plays the other astronaut, he gets off. He's alone. That's Aries, right? He's alone in space. He's by himself. He's Major Tom. All right, look at this. I want you to pay attention to his true node in Capricorn. It's at 347, right? 347. Let me bring this up here. In the movie, Keir Dullea, aka Dave Bowman, ages rapidly and eventually metamorphoses into the cosmic baby. Right. So the end of 2001 is just nothing but a wash of colors. I remember seeing it when it came out. I was a kid. My parents took me to the movies. We went to San Francisco to go see it. And I'm looking at the end of this movie and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on here? Like, I kind of dug it, right? But I think I was maybe 7 at the time. And, I'd been dosing on Star Trek. And, in Star Trek, they always have a nice, neat, happy ending. And Kirk is like Mr. Sulu. Warp 2. Let's go to the Warp 2 Epsilon quadrant. Yes, sir, Captain. Right? It's like always a happy, tied up, nice, neat. Like that's what I'm used to. And I watch this and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I'm trying to understand the symbolism of the cosmic baby. And so there's a lot of kind of differing ideas about the symbolism of the cosmic baby. And one idea is that this is the return of the cosmic Christ, right? That this is a symbol of what's coming to Earth, and it's actually, and again, it depends on where you're on the spectrum. Well, it could be terrifying or it could be beautiful, right? It's like this return to a cosmic innocence. Okay, now the third degree of Capricorn, which is just slightly ahead of Keir Dullea's true node in Capricorn. I'll show you the Sabian symbol for it. Hold on a second. Give me 1 sec. Okay, Capricorn. Here we go. So this is the Sabian symbol for 3 Capricorn. Phase 273, Capricorn 3, a human soul in its eagerness for new experience seeks embodiment, a powerful yearning for whatever will increase the scope and depth of one's contact with other living beings. And then we have this, right? We have this image right here. That is within 47 minutes of Keir Dullea's true node in Capricorn. Fascinating, right? It's absolutely fascinating that the Sabian symbol actually matches this scene from 2001 Space Odyssey and has a place in Keir Dullea's chart. Wild stuff. And that even with Jupiter in the ninth house in Sagittarius, Dave Bowman, and he winds up going to Jupiter. You can't make this shit up, right? So there's your True Hemp Science star of the day, Keir Dullea. All right, we'll be over on 15 minutes. Please join us. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into some Trump stuff. And what I think is, I think there's something going on in our hospitals that they're not talking about, and I'll share what it is and why I think it is. And it's all based on my conversation with Lori yesterday. All right. Take good care. Thank you. Hit like, subscribe. If you want to buy me some coffees, that'd be great. You can go over to Locals, join Locals. We're going to have our first meetup next weekend. Saturday, we're going to have the second edition of Astro Dads. Ferris and I got together yesterday, did a great show. It's all about Gemini, and that'll air on Saturday, probably sometime in the morning. I haven't figured out a time yet. Not too early, so you West Coasters can kind of sleep in. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, maybe about 11 a.m. on Saturday, Central Time. So it'll be 9 o'clock on Saturday on the West Coast. For you people on the East Coast, it'll be noon. And for everybody else, wherever you are in the realm, figure out your time zone accordingly. All right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all. Take care. God bless. Bye for now.